Welcome to episode 64 of Squib Kick Radio. We are back for another season. I am joined here with both Harry Burton and Riley Pollock. How are we doing today, boys?
I'm doing really good. I'm stoked to be back. It's been a long off season for us, especially with no CFL, which usually kicks off our season a little earlier. But I think we got some big things in store for season 3 of Squib Kick Radio. So let's get it rolling.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, we are definitely going to have a different look of the podcast this year, as there is no CFL, so there's not going to be any real CFL coverage unless we have some groundbreaking news to share with you all. And pretty much as the days go by this week, we are having different conferences in college football also drop dead and hold out until the springtime. So not looking like we are going to have any college football to report on in the near future, but we will keep you, I guess, in the know for that. I am here working in my home office. A little COVID update from the boys. It's a bit of a different world since we last spoke to all of you, and we're glad we can finally jump back into football. I know everyone's quite happy with what's going on with hockey and basketball, both in their selective bubbles, and then of course sort of just like watching the MLB kind of dismantle itself, but that's sort of a whole other thing. But boys, just give me a quick run through of just how you're feeling about sports being back.
It's great. Especially NHL-wise. I'm a huge hockey fan, and working at a sports radio station was pretty garbage there for a few months, considering there was no sports, but we're right back into the swing of things, and hockey and basketball killing it so far. Baseball, I guess they're doing their best with no bubble, but it's been tough, and honestly, I haven't really been into baseball as much as I usually am, just because of NHL playoffs and NBA playoffs going on, so it's been tough for the baseball crowd, but at least they're still going, I guess. And I'm happy that sports are back.
Extremely happy sports are back. Never a big baseball guy, but we got the NBA, we got NHL. It's all you need.
Yeah, it is. And golf, I guess I should mention. Really exciting PGA Championship this past weekend. So we're... I don't think we've ever had this much sports on ever. So definitely exciting there. Well, we might as well just jump right into football and sort of piggybacking on the general consensus coming from the MLB. I think we should talk about it before we get into anything else. Like, what do we think is going to happen with the NFL season? Like, are we going to have complications? Are we going to start on time? Once teams start traveling, because of course when you're in controlled environments with training camp, which is you can essentially create your own organizational bubble, if you will. But once you're on the road, once you're traveling, how do we think this is going to translate?
Well,
not great.
I think that there's gonna be cases. There's gonna be players that have to isolate. There might be teams that lose 15, 20 guys in a week, and I don't know, do you play with 35 guys, or do you have to push back a game, or I don't know how it's going to work, but one thing I do know is that the NFL is a money-hungry corporation, and it's going to take a hell of a lot for them to cancel their season.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better, Riley. I think it's going to be really scary for those Florida teams and people just traveling in and out of Florida. Yeah, no faith that the NFL ownership will handle it well. But, you got to hold out some optimism, so we'll see how she goes.
Yeah, and I've heard as, I guess, recently as this afternoon that some NFL teams are going to be keeping or thinking about keeping an isolated quarterback. So someone in their quarterback room is going to have no contact with the team, and basically if and when someone gets the COVID, they're going to have a quarterback instantly ready to step in. Whether that's going to be a third or first string is to be determined, but it's going to be interesting. And then of course all the implications that come from that, from both a fantasy standpoint and many gambling standpoints. Like if you are betting on these games and then all of a sudden before game time someone tests positive for COVID, like Tom Brady and the Bucks, for example, and you just bet on the Bucks, you're kind of screwed.
Yeah, I'm not betting until like 4 minutes before game time.
Mm-hmm.
And in terms of fantasy, this is where you will see, I mean, maybe not as much in keeper, but in redraft leagues, like, this is where you'll see the best managers in those redraft leagues, because you have to be deep. You have to be doing your research, because if 3 of your players get COVID or are out, you're screwed unless you've done that research to, get those depth players. So this is going to be a very interesting fantasy season, and I think you'll see the best managers come out of this on top.
Mm-hmm, for sure. And the timeline will be interesting too, because if one of your starters does get COVID, that's instantly 2 weeks off. So depending on when they get it, which is also going to be hard to determine, it's not like, oh, we can maybe fight through and you're going to be watching like the questionable tag. It's like instantly 14 days they're not playing.
Yeah. Well, and I know in our league that we've gone to a 2 IR system, and I think most leagues should go to that, just because they have confirmed that COVID positive players will be allowed to be put on IR. So that's huge. And obviously, there's some players that you don't want to drop to pick someone else up for a 2-week window when they're your stars. So I think either adding an IR spot if you don't have any in your league, or picking up a second one is a pretty good idea.
Yeah, it's gonna make for an interesting fantasy season, and of course an interesting NFL season in general. Like, I still haven't gotten confirmation, and I think this is more so by state, but what they're going to do with fans. Of course, the NFL does have a lot of money, so they can pump in, screening systems and, of course, block off some seats. So even if they're operating at half capacity, that's still going to be some revenue. But it's definitely going to be interesting because, of course, restrictions on gatherings are different in different states. So it's sort of totally up in the air. And with that, there's already been a number of players that have opted out for this year's season. Of course, the window to opt out has since closed. It closed, I believe, Wednesday last week or something like that. But Riley, there's some big names on that list.
Yeah, it's not the superstars. Let's be honest about that. But one team that really got hit, in my opinion, at the receiver spot is Miami. Allen Hurns and Albert Wilson both out. So for fantasy implications, you got to think Devontae Parker is going to go off this season.
Yeah, and there's also going to be some deep drafts as well. Like, you're going to have to reach into the bag for those other guys.
Yeah, for sure. The Patriots probably hit the hardest, I would say. I'm not sure if you guys agree with me.
They got absolutely decimated.
Their defense is gone.
They have 8 players that opted out, including Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung. So those are 2 huge members of that defense, and that's going to be tough. All the rest, offensive players, Brandon Bolden, Marquise Lee, who they picked up, but yeah, it's Hightower and Chung that are really, really tough ones for them to lose. Nate Soldier off the Giants, big offensive loss. I believe that the Browns lost 4 offensive linemen to opt-outs. 3 guards have opted out. Whoa. So that's a tough one. Funches out of Green Bay. He was looking to be a wide receiver 2 there. He said no. Doxson out of the Jets. Marquise Goodwin from Philly. It's a lot of receivers, it seems like. Some middle-of-the-pack kind of backside wide receiver 2s, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. I think a lot of offensive linemen too. Like, what's the Canadian guy on Kansas City's?
Devont.
It's a long
Tardif.
Name. Yeah.
He's a doctor, so he decided to continue to be a doctor. So instead of coming back, so he'll be all right.
Yeah. Well, but we're well into camp now. Things are really starting to get kicked off here. Hard Knocks starting right away. Rams and Chargers. I mean, I'm not the hugest fan of Hard Knocks personally. It's usually it's always teams I personally don't really care about. But there's always
because you have to be a non-playoff team for 2 years or something. I believe the stipulation is. So it's always the bad teams.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense. But there's always some funny moments that come out of that show. Like I think it's Coach Wiley with his bouncing gut
With his
on
gut,
the Browns' offensive line.
Yeah, that's a classic.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was great. But yeah, in all, 66 players opted out before the deadline. So that's not a lot, I guess, but it's not a small amount either.
No, definitely not.
What else you got for us, Eli?
Well, it recently just came out, and like this is us reaching pretty deep for the news here as we're just starting camp. But apparently, everyone's favorite fantasy running back, Alvin Kamara, was playing on a torn MCL last year, so that's why you didn't see the production out of him for those of you that had him. So
yeah,
bummer.
Do you guys move him up your fantasy running back board now that you know that he's back to 100%?
No, I think where he's at is where he's at. He had a really good season two seasons ago, but again, like a lot of, I think less so on his production, even whether it's related to injury or not, is the vultures on that offense that take touchdowns at the goal line. Taysom Hill is a prime example of probably one of the biggest vultures in fantasy football history.
Yeah, I think
Taysom Hill. Go ahead, Harry.
he's still a stud. Either way, I'd put him.
Yeah.
I'd put him at like number 4 in the running backs, and it'd be pretty tough for him to move up into that top 3. I think, unless he just goes right off again this year, like he did 2 years ago.
Yeah, I believe he's sitting in that 5-ish RB5 spot.
Yeah.
Just behind Cook and Henry. But you could take any of those 3.
I would
I
take
agree.
Kamara over those 2, like any day of the week.
Yeah, I don't know. I wouldn't have Kamara cracking my top 3 until I see Taysom Hill leave the Saints.
That's
No,
reasonable.
no. I was just saying over Dalvin Cook and Derrick Henry.
Yeah. But those are up there. I think that's 3 and 4.
Yeah, right now Henry is going at about RB3, Cook RB4, Zeke's all the way back at 7, so that, I don't know. But it's probably just based on the stipulation that he likes to party and will probably get COVID at some point this season.
But he's already got COVID, so his chances are probably a lot lower of getting it again.
Yeah, you can get it again, but it is much lower.
But yeah. So.
Yeah, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not touching that one.
Yeah. Allegedly.
But he
Allegedly.
does like to party.
Everything we say about COVID on this podcast is going to just automatically be followed with an allegedly asterisk behind it.
Yeah, well,
Because
the rules of COVID change every day.
We're not doctors.
Yeah.
If you're looking for a doctor podcast, you've come to the wrong place. Sorry to break it to all of you med students there, but yeah. Anyways, that's what's up for the news, really. I mean, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. I mean, there's been a lot of news. We're a little late to the draw.
Yeah,
here.
we're a little late. I mean, of course, we could talk about the Washington football team.
The stupidest name in the history of sport.
But whatever. That's all there. I mean, it doesn't really matter. No one really cares to begin with. So
yeah, we're not gonna bring a new opinion to the situation after it's been like 3 weeks.
It's the most that anyone's talked about the Washington football team for a week long and really long time.
Did you see there's some reports that like Alex Smith might be able to come back and battle for that starting job? Like, that's just how not good they are.
I mean, he wasn't awful.
No,
his leg snapped in half.
He turned his leg into mud.
Yeah. I mean, I would if he's coming back to camp, he would be my favorite to win that job.
Yeah, and that's crazy because he's been out of football for 2 full seasons.
If I was him, though, I would not be coming back to put my life on.
Why would you want to come back to
necessarily
Washington?
Exactly. Like, send me anywhere else other than Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Okay.
All right.
Well, that's pretty much it for the news. So what we're going to basically take a look at now for the rest of the episode is doing a little NFC breakdown. So really what our thoughts are on that. And this is probably going to heavily contradict what we did in our super mega early pick'ems that were, in my opinion, at least mine, not very good. So
speak for yourself, Eli.
I'm pretty sure Harry had 49ers at like 7-9 this year or something.
Yeah,
just you wait. Raiders,
so we'll probably
the best
see
team
that.
in the league.
We'll probably see that change, but then we'll just get into it, and then we're going to talk fantasy quarterbacks as we launch into the beginning of what we do every preseason is just go through our fantasy positions and who we think is going to do well, and a couple of individuals who we think will not do well. So,
All right.
Let's just jump right into it. Let's start with everyone's favorite division, the NFC North, that's filled with a bunch of bears and cheese and some lions as well. Riley.
Yeah, it's the NFC North's an interesting one. It kind of just seems like two good teams, a team that consistently is like 8-8 or 7-9, and then Chicago. So, do you guys see this as a two-horse race again this season between Green Bay and Minnesota?
Yeah, I think so. There's no doubt. I mean, Detroit's always got a good offense, but like you said, they're middle of the pack, pushing 500 every year. And I mean, Trubisky, like, let's be real, Chicago's not doing anything.
It's Big Dick Nick Foles is going to be taking the helm of the Chicago Bears this year. So I would watch for the Bears. I'd watch for the Bears to stay in it for sure and sort of mix it up a little bit. But yeah, it's pretty much just a Green Bay, Minnesota. And
no, I retract my statement. I forgot about Foles. I think that's all they were missing. Like, their defense,
it's true,
unreal. Trubisky, awful. Chicago, I could see them challenging with Minnesota. Kirk Cousins, not stoked on. Their defense, unreal. I mean, Green Bay was awesome last year. I think they're going to just continue what they did last year and let Aaron Rodgers hand off the ball a lot more than he's used to. But it seemed to work for them last year.
Yeah. So this division is closer than we think it is.
I forgot about Foles. That's a game changer.
After peeling back the initial layer, we have established that it is going to be a bit closer. But I think really the question mark is going to be on Green Bay and what they're going to do. I mean, lots of drama coming from that organization this offseason. Maybe a fractured relationship with Aaron Rodgers and Matt LaFleur, which, I mean, never really goes well. I mean, we'll see, but yeah, it's definitely Minnesota's to win, if you were to ask me.
I'm gonna say that it's Green Bay's to win personally, but I mean, Minnesota's lost Diggs, and that's tough. We'll see who fills that wide receiver's second spot beside Thielen, but I like Green Bay out of this division. It's going to be real close, though. Like, I could see it coming down to, like, the final game of the regular season.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I don't know. I think, yeah, the hole that Diggs is leaving is going to be a big one. But honestly, like, you could probably just put a speed guy in there. Like, they were relying on Thielen quite a bit more than Diggs down the line, so.
Yeah, not stoked on Diggs. I don't think he is as good as he thinks he is.
Oh, I'm excited to see him in Buffalo. I think you put him on a team that has a quarterback with the cannon that Josh Allen has. I think he'll do well.
Yeah.
We'll have to see, boys.
He reminds me too much of Brandon Cooks, who also, in my mind, is not that great.
Well, Brandon Cooks has gotten actually knocked out cold the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, a couple conkies, whatever. Still, I'm just saying.
Let's move on to the South, boys.
Yeah, the opposite of North, going to the NFC South, where we have Atlanta, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, and Carolina. This is going to be a bit closer, I personally think, than a lot of people are going to expect. I think Tampa is going to be right in there. I mean, Jameis did some good things last year, and now you just replace him with Tom Brady. They have a good offense.
Yeah, but you're going to have to change up the offense. Jameis is a gunslinger. Tom Brady can't throw 40 yards.
Yeah, but look who the coach is. If there's someone that'll change it and work with a veteran. Look at what Bruce Arians did with Carson Palmer in Arizona. Now he has Tom Brady.
I just don't think it's going to be as high-flying of an offense as we saw last year, where Evans and Godwin are taking the top off of defenses, because I think it's just going to be a much more calculated style offense like Tom Brady has ran in the past. I still don't think that they have the horses to take out New Orleans for the top of the division.
Yeah, I would agree with that, but it's going to be close.
I'm going to ask you guys this question. Do you think both wildcard teams could come out of this division? We talk about Atlanta, their defense, 1 year older, a very young defense. They lost 3 offensive linemen last year, all first-round picks. 10 of their 11 starters this year on offense are former first-round picks. They should take a step this year, and I could see them battling for that second wildcard spot when it comes down to it.
Yeah, I mean, in all honesty, unless I see a headline that says the Atlanta Falcons have fired their entire medical staff, I'm not going to hold them very high, because they're just going to get absolutely decimated by injuries within the first 5 weeks. And all of those starters are going to be mostly gone, and then they're not going to do well at all. There's something in the water in Atlanta. It's something, I don't know what it is, but you guys have the injury bug year in and year out, and until I see something that would change that, I am not holding them very high.
I can see them pushing. Gurley's going to be a stud. He's going to be like Devontae Freeman when he was a stud.
Good. Yeah. I like Gurley, especially behind 5 what should be great offensive linemen. We'll see if they can stay healthy.
But that's the thing. Like, we don't really know what's going on behind closed doors. Is it Dan Quinn's practice method? Is it the way they run their practice before games or the day before games? Because each team is different in what they do. You know, when their last contact practice is, every coach does it differently. And could that be why the Falcons get decimated by injuries? I don't know.
Yeah, we'll have to see. Is Carolina the clear bottom feeder in this division?
Yeah,
I think Carolina is going to be the worst team in probably the entire NFC. Bottom 2 at least.
Yeah,
it'll probably be between it'll be between Washington and Carolina.
Yeah, it's tough to disagree with you there. They have the best running back in football, and
that's it.
Then that's about it.
Basically, like a D2 college team.
Yeah,
around the best running back. I mean, Teddy Two Gloves.
He's not a bad quarterback.
I'm rooting for him.
Yeah,
I'm definitely rooting for Teddy Two Gloves, but I mean, guy's got no one to throw to.
Yeah, like I could see this being like a 4-12, 3-13 football team.
Yeah. I think if they get 4 wins, they should celebrate that considerably.
On to the East.
Let's do it.
Actually, on that note,
anything else from the South?
Do we think? Or I guess McCaffrey, he just signed a new deal, didn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah, he did. Oh, okay. I was going to say, do we think he moves because they just suck so much? But
No.
He's there for a while,
Yeah.
Unfortunately. They're taking the build behind a running back approach.
Scary approach.
So, the NFC East.
Yeah. This is definitely a 2-horse race, in my opinion. It's Dallas, the Giants, Washington, and Philly. Dallas's offense should be one of the best in the NFL. It all just comes down to Dak. What do you guys expect from this offense?
I think they're going to have... let's see. Yeah, I think they're probably going to have a top 5 offense this year in the NFL. Entire NFL, I would assume.
Like, somewhat realistically, they could have 3,000-yard receivers.
Yeah. I think they're going to be unreal. Like, their offense only got better.
Yeah.
So...
It sucks.
Yeah, I mean, but they're gonna do really well, and then they're gonna have to pay Dak, and then everything's gonna crumble, or they're gonna lose Dak, and they're just gonna have to draft someone.
Yeah. Yeah. The addition of CD is gross.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Amari on the other side, and then you have
Yeah.
Gallup in the slot. Like, it's filthy. And I would pick Dallas to win that division. Although, I'm kind of high on Philly for some reason. I don't know why. Like, I think Sanders, their running back's going to have a good one if they don't go to that stupid 4 running back committee that they always do. Carson Wentz is a good quarterback. Jalen Reagor, their rookie receiver, is going to be an absolute stud. Like, their defense is good. I see Philly being another one of those teams that fights for a wild card, but Dallas has got the horses this year. Like, it's going to be tough for them to catch Dallas, I think.
Yeah, but also, I mean, Dallas has really bad games. I mean, the maturity of that team is incredibly low.
Their chokeability is very high.
Yeah. So, and you don't really see a clear leader in Dallas. You know,
No.
You don't have someone who grabs the locker room by the throat and gets them to nut up. You know what I mean?
True.
'Cause it's sure not Dak. I mean, maybe it's one of their linemen, but that's not what linemen do.
Yeah. Where are we on the Giants? Take a step this year, stay the same, fall back?
They'll take a step. Danny Dimes is going to show some improvement. I mean, they still need to put some more around him. Saquon will look for him to have a bounce back season, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully don't have a high ankle sprain or whatever it was last year.
But yeah, I mean, I'm not super high on the Giants. Definitely not a playoff team, but I would look for them to start improving, to say the least.
And anything positive out of Washington?
The Washington football team. We got to think of something to call them.
Yeah,
How
let's
about
call them. Let's
Washington?
just call them the losers, because that's what they're gonna do this year.
They are going to lose. They will lose this year. Is there anything positive out of this Washington organization that we can take and say, hey, maybe this will be a bright spot?
Yeah,
Other than Alex Smith potentially coming
Yeah.
back, that'd be the only positive I could see coming out of
Yeah,
Washington.
if Alex Smith has a good season, I think that's the only positive that Washington can come out of this year with. Especially having released their starting running back, Darius Geis.
Yeah,
This week.
that just leaves the door open for AP to take a shot at the record.
AP's just going for records too, and as soon as he gets that, he's retired. So
Yeah. Like, there are 3 starting receivers. Terry McLaurin, who was good last year.
yeah,
And then they have Kelvin Harmon and Trey Quinn. If you can tell me what year they were drafted or who they played on in college, I'll be very surprised.
no,
Kelvin Harmon, Trey Quinn, never heard of him. Oh, Dontrell Inman played in the CFL. He's a backup.
That's
Yeah.
a familiar name.
Yeah. But yeah, this team is bad.
yeah,
Alex Smith, Kyle Allen, and Dwayne Haskins will be fighting for that starting spot. Alex Smith is still on the PUP list, but they think he may be able to participate at some point here. So let's literally only hope for him to come back. That is the only bright spot from this Washington team.
and they find a name this year. I think the 2 largest steps for this organization would be finding a name and getting Alex Smith back.
Yeah, all right. They have 2 things that they need to do for us this year.
2 goals.
Yeah.
2 goals. Pretty achievable, too.
Yeah. All right. Anything else from the East?
No.
Do you guys have Dallas winning that division?
Oh,
I do.
Yeah, okay.
Unless something happens to Dak.
Yeah.
But
But,
like,
like-
let's be real. Like, even if that does happen, they're still gonna win it.
Isn't Andy Dalton there?
Yes, he is.
Yeah, he
Is
is.
the backup?
He is.
Like,
I mean,
I still think they could win the division with him as their starting quarterback.
yeah.
Agreed.
All right. Final NFC division, the NFC West. Very, very fun division. The Cardinals, the Rams, San Fran, and Seattle. My first question to you guys out of this division, because we won't probably talk about them for the rest of the talk, is do you think the Rams will get back on track this year?
No.
I have to make that 3 no's. Jared Goff had 1 good season, and I saw not enough from him last year to make me think that he's going to be a consistent quarterback.
Yeah, McVay's scheme got figured out.
Yeah.
So
Jared Goff, there was that video where Jared Goff's just blindly staring at the defense while McVay calls an audible. Goff just couldn't read it. So
yeah,
I have
done.
no faith in the Rams, and I think they're going to finish last in the division, honestly.
Yep, I agree.
Do the Seahawks challenge San Fran for the top spot?
Yeah, I think they take over for San Fran. San Fran's due for a downward slope.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we see a bit of a Super Bowl hangover from San
regression.
Fran. Yeah, they're going to be really good, don't get me wrong, but I mean, you look at this Seattle team and they're going to be really good. DK Metcalf is probably going to be a top 5 receiver this year. Russell Wilson is just grinding right now. Guy looks huge. And their defense is just going to be...
Jamal Adams is going to just reinvent their entire backfield. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think Seattle's... That's what Pete Carroll thrives on as well. Pete's got his defense back. That should be a very scary thought.
And they got Bruce Irvin back, another guy from their stellar defense. It's just there's good guys in the locker room. There's great leadership on their defense. I think they're going to be really good.
They have the best safety in football.
Yeah,
they have the best linebacker.
It'll be interesting to see how it goes. I really like this division, though. Do you guys think it's the best division in football? Or yes? Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, definitely the most competitive for sure. And we're going to see Arizona take a huge stride this year too. Kyler Murray now has probably arguably the best, but
could be,
in my humble opinion, the second best receiver.
And Drake looked really good with them too, right? I think Drake could probably have his best season as a pro this year. Yeah. I like this Arizona team. They're going to be fun to watch.
Yeah, I agree. And then you still got Larry holding it down. I mean, if you have a receiver that throughout his career has more tackles than drops, that's a good thing. That I think is
that'll be a fun division to watch.
One of the craziest stats in all of sports.
We'll see how she goes. I'm going to stay with San Fran as the division winner in that one.
Yeah. Okay, nice. Well, it's going to be so fun to watch too, because usually it's either one or the other. It's either the Seahawks versus the Niners that are the big rivalry, or it's the Seahawks versus the Cardinals that are the big rivalry in that division for that year. But it's going to be all three of those teams just going.
All right, are we good? Okay, let's have our. Probably the West.
Yep, I think we're good.
But maybe the South.
Which division finishes with the most wins?
Who do you got? Okay, who do you have first and second from the NFC this year? Then? Harry, you start.
I got Saints going number 1. That offense is just too filthy. Their defense really good too. And Kamara going to be fully healthy. I think it's a quite easy pick for Saints number 1. But then I got Seahawks number 2.
Fair enough.
As we just said,
Eli?
Everything about the Seahawks is good this year. They just don't have Kamara. So.
Yeah, it's so I think the Saints and Seattle, they're going to be within a game and a half.
Seattle
of each
1,
other.
Saints 2.
I think I got to go Seattle.
Interesting.
Yeah,
I'm
Seattle
going to go
1,
Saints 1,
2.
San Fran 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's we all like the Saints is what we're saying. Yeah, they are. They certainly are. All right, that's our NFC breakdown, I guess.
The Saints are good at football. They have a good football team.
Yeah. Good job, everyone.
Nice. We did it. Sports.
Yeah. So we'll all just go spot by
Fantasy
spot. Everyone
quarterbacks
says
now.
who they have
This
at 1,
is
2, 3,
what
etc.
the people will want.
I think we can all agree on our number 1.
And then we can agree.
Yeah. Eli, who do you got at 1?
I don't know.
All right.
Maybe.
Well,
you never know.
Me too.
That's why we're doing
Harry?
this.
Yeah. The consensus number one is Patrick Mahomes. I mean, he was, QB6 last year, and he missed like 3 or 4 games, or 2 or 3 games, one of the two. With a knee injury that looked like he was going to be done for the season. Guy's superhuman. His offensive weapons are disgusting. Just no way he doesn't get this number one spot.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah.
They only got better. The Chiefs. They didn't lose anyone, and they added, in my opinion, the second best running back in the draft.
Yeah, they're stupid. All right.
In that high flying Andy Reid.
Mahomes
Chiefs
consensus
are going to be scary this year. Okay, cool. 2.
I got Lamar too. Yeah.
Can we all agree on number 2 as well?
Lamar?
Yeah.
Yeah, so Mahomes, and I looked at probably a different fantasy app than you guys, but I have Mahomes' ADP going at 10.6. Is that similar to what you guys have been seeing? Okay. And then
I agree.
Yeah, and then
I
Lamar,
still would never draft a QB in the first 3 rounds. That is just ridiculous to me. But he's a stud.
Yeah. And then Lamar's is 16.5. So really because of that, 0.6 for Patrick. Basically,
yeah, that's
2 quarterbacks going in the second round. So that's pretty gnarly.
Yeah,
if you're listening to this and doing a standard draft, do not draft a quarterback.
All right,
in the
this
first
is where we're
3
probably going to
rounds.
have some variation. Those 2 were the obvious top 2 in my opinion. We'll see. Harry, who do you have for your 3?
I think the 3 is pretty obvious too.
I agree.
Yeah.
I disagree. I think this year Kyler Murray is going to go off and be QB3 in the NFL. I think this guy, yes, I do think better than Russell Wilson. His ability to run is better because he's younger. He's going to get those rushing yard points that Russell just doesn't get as many of anymore. And to have D-Hop in the receiving core, I just think Kyler is going to go off this season.
That's fair. I mean, Kyler's a really good quarterback, and he has wheels and some weapons now. So I can see where you're coming from. I just still wouldn't put him ahead of Russell Wilson.
Yeah, I agree. I have
number 4
not there.
Nope.
Sure.
All right. Well, should we
got
do
Kyler
the
at
old
4, hey?
flop rolls? I think we.
I have.
That's where I've got
Dak
Kyler.
Prescott at 4.
Yeah, I don't have Kyler at 4 either.
Man, Dak had the 3rd most QB points
last year.
Dak had the 3rd most QB points last year, and then they added CD. Like, I don't know. It's just a no-brainer. I almost had Dak at 3, but I just think Murray's going to be slightly better than him. Eli, who do you have in the 4 spot?
No.
Ooh.
I don't know. I'm taking a bit of a reach, or the guy that might have a bit of a chip on his shoulder. I've got Deshaun, man. Yeah, he lost D-Hop. Yeah, D-Hop. But he's also getting a really good receiving back in David Johnson. So he's been hurt. Didn't really have a good season at all. Barely played last year, actually. And I don't know. Just has a bit of a chip on his shoulder. Hasn't gotten paid yet. Still a really mobile quarterback. I don't know. I think we'll see good things out of him.
So you're saying you have faith in Bill O'Brien?
I would say less in Bill O'Brien, definitely, but I would say more in Deshaun Watson. I mean, if you were down 2 scores in a football game and you gave me Kyler Murray or Deshaun Watson, I would take Deshaun
Harry,
Watson.
You said you had Kyler in the 4, right? Okay. Moving on to the 5, I guess I'll kick this one off. That's where I got Dangerous. I think those 3 will be close, but Dak's weapons are too good, and Kyler's running ability is slightly better than Russ's and way better than Dak's, so that's why I had him 3-4. And then I have Russ in 5, and it is no knock on Russ. I think that any of those top 5 quarterbacks are excellent. Obviously, the top 2 are in a different tier, but that 3-4-5 is pretty close in my opinion. So I have Russ in the 5.
Yeah, totally agree with you there. I've got Dak at 5.
You do not have Dak in your
Kyler
top
Murray
5,
at
Eli.
5.
Harry does not have Deshaun. Me and
I do
you
not.
both don't have Deshaun in our top 5s. Interesting.
I don't have Deshaun in my.
Well, let's go on to
my
6
top 5.
then. Harry. Okay. That's where I have Deshaun as well.
Yeah. So 6 is where I have Dak.
Yeah, we have the top 6 was
At
all
6,
the
I
same,
have
just in a
Deshaun.
different order. Interesting.
So now
I've said
we're even.
interesting too many times in this podcast, so
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
A-Rod, hey? Hoo-lee.
Okay, number 7, I have Aaron Rodgers.
Oof.
Yep. Another guy who's going to have a bit of a chip on his shoulder.
I went for a bit of a reach with 7, but I think Carson Wentz is due for another good season. He's going to stay healthy.
See,
and the
Carson's
guy's,
not even
I went
on my
Jared
list.
Allen here at the
the guy's
7th
got
spot.
legs.
He,
the guy's got an arm.
he had a great season last year,
he's
and
gonna
picking
do
up
it.
Diggs is only going to make him better. I believe he finished as QB7 last year, so I'm going to have him kind of sticking around right there with Diggs coming into the fold. Eight. Harry, who's your 8?
Yeah, don't mind that.
Yeah. I got Drew Brees. That Saints offense is disgusting. Drew Brees still has
Eli?
somewhat of an arm for how old that he is, and
I have Drew Brees
there's
too.
just too many weapons.
Good work, everyone.
Michael Thomas.
Yeah, Drew
receiver.
Brees with that
I
offense
also
will
have Drew
always
Brees.
be a viable quarterback that you can probably get
Look at us.
in the back half of a draft as well. So, there you go. So right around the back
That is
half,
correct,
right in the
Riley. His
middle.
current ADP is going at pick 82.4.
And that's probably when I would start looking for a
Right
quarterback.
at the start
personally.
of the 8th round.
So maybe Drew Brees will find a home on my squad this year. I got Matty Ice at number 9.
You never know.
I just think that offense
number 9
is going to be
Riley, who do you
stellar.
have for number
Like I
9?
said before, Ridley's going to go off. Julio's Julio. Gurley's in there to take a little bit of pressure off Matt Ryan. So, yeah, as long as that O-line stays healthy, once again, this offense should be nasty, and I think Matt Ryan will be a top 10 quarterback. Wow.
I also have Matt Ryan.
I also have Matt Ryan.
Nice. So the both Drew Brees and Matt Ryan are both ADP pick 82, but Drew is 0.4
Maddie's going
and
statistically
Matt is
slightly ahead of Drew then,
0.1. So those two are pretty much going before and after each other.
And I swore.
Yeah, slightly ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. That's
There
my
it is.
first F-bomb on this. So I
episode.
think all three of us have done it, and
I would
probably,
expect
like,
many
I know
more
we've
of
taken a
those
big
this
gap here,
season.
but, like, within the last 5 episodes, all three of us dropped an F-bomb. And I only swore because I said interesting for the 63rd time this episode. Yeah. Gloves are off. Gloves are off.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's a new
let's
year.
do
It's
it.
the COVID era. You never know. Maybe maybe we'll hit Squib Kick with the explicit tag this year. You never know. I think
final
there's going to
pick,
be
boys.
some frustration
Eli,
in the boys.
who you got at the
You
10
never
spot?
know, but we'll stay tuned. My 10 spot, I mean, the offense is loaded and it's a new color. So I'm going to go with TB12, Tom Brady. I was not very high on him last year at all.
Maybe
I
ever.
think he's got
as a whole.
this is the best
As
receiving
a
core
whole,
he's had in
though.
a very, very long time.
I mean, he doesn't have.
Well, he did throw
He
the ball
doesn't
to
have
Randy Moss.
a bad
so.
person to throw to. He's 3 deep at tight end.
Wes Welker was his wide receiver too that year. So.
I also have Tom Brady in the 10 spot. I think he's going to have a great bounce back season and just
Yeah.
hit the boys on the slant routes. Ronald Jones is probably going to get a lot of dump passes from Tom Brady and be the
Yeah.
be the running back option that Tom Brady loves to use. It's been James White for what seems like ever. And I think Ronald Jones can fill that role, but we'll have to see. But yeah, I think TB12 slides back into that top 10 this year. Yeah. Until he gets hurt anyway. Harry, do you got something different than Tom Brady?
He's got Gronk.
Where are you going? Ooh.
I do. I got the gunslinger, Matthew Stafford. He chucks bombs every year. He's always right up there with the top quarterbacks for yards in a season. And their offenses just do. I think he's a solid pick. I'm not stoked on Josh Allen. I'm not stoked on the Bills at all. So
I think the Bills are going to win that division by 4
Stafford
games.
was just the easy pick here.
But we're going to get to that on the AFC episode next.
Got the gun.
Do you guys have any honorable mentions or busts coming my way? I can start if you need a second to think. Wentz and Rodgers would be like my 11-12 probably.
Yeah, I wouldn't choose.
Didn't have him in my top 10, but Carson Wentz does have the ability, if healthy, to be a very good quarterback. And, I mean, the fact that I doubted Aaron Rodgers, I almost punched myself in the face while I was making this list, but he's probably that 11. As for busts, they have Joe Burrow he's a rookie quarterback, so I don't know. It's not easy to give him like a near top 10 ranking right off the bat. Let me just see where he's projected here. Yeah, they have him at
his ADP is
11.
106.
I have him listed as the 11th best quarterback right now, and I'm just not sure that you can give him that.
I have him as 24.
They have him over Aaron Rodgers on the list that I'm like for projected fantasy points this year, not for draft wise, but not ADP wise. It's for projected fantasy points. They have him as the 11th most fantasy point QB, and they have him over Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers. And Matt Stafford. That just doesn't make sense to me. So don't totally draft based off how many fantasy points they project, because there is no way in my mind that Joe Burrow will be the 11th best quarterback.
Right.
You guys find any busts?
Yeah.
Or honorable mentions?
I've got, I think Sam Darnold's going to be a bust. I think the Jets are going to be a bust in general. So that's pretty much an easy one. And then I kind of want to see him do well, but I think Phillip Rivers is also going to be a bust. I think he's done. I think Phillip's done.
Yeah,
he's got no more left.
I was going to throw him there, but it just seems like he gets garbage time points all the time.
Yeah.
Harry?
Yeah, agreed. If anything, I don't want to say Aaron Rodgers is going to be a bust, but I think he's just such a big name, and people just overlook where that offense is going and how it's run now. Fantasy-wise, I just don't see him being relevant or worth the attention to seek out in the draft. If he's available and you're looking for a quarterback towards the end, the bottom half of the draft, then great, take him, but I wouldn't be going out of my way to get him.
Eli, do you have Rodgers' ADP on hand?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure his ADP is similar to, I think it's like around the 5th round. Just give me a second.
That's way too early for me.
I'm also just guessing. His ADP is a 71, so 7th quarterback off the board here is what I'm looking at.
I just wouldn't do it.
That's a little early for me. It's not crazy to take him in like the 7th, 8th round, I guess, but that's just still a little too early. He's not number 7 off my board, that's for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, that's our top 10.
Nice.
And I will be posting the lists on our Squib page probably tomorrow as the episode drops.
All right. Well, let's get this season going.
There you go. Now you guys know what quarterbacks to take. You can choose to listen to us, or you can choose to lose your fantasy league. So
the choice is yours.
Yeah, may you have a fortuitous decision ahead of you. And with that, we're going to be back here next week. Riley, what are we doing? Are we doing running backs or receivers?
I want to save running backs as the grand finale.
Okay.
So let's go receivers.
Just go defense.
Oof.
No, I'm kidding.
I don't even know if there's 10 defenses that should be talked about to be drafted. If you're on the 10th defense, just play from week to week.
Yeah. Okay, we'll do receivers.
Yeah, let's do receivers next week, and we will do the AFC either next week or the week after, see if we need to spread it out or not.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
See you next week.
Well, as always, thank you all for listening, and check us out on the social medias at Squib Kick Radio. I'm glad some of you are using it, because I definitely caught a lot of flack for my early season picks, so that's always good to see.
Yeah, we got crushed for those.
Yeah, unfortunately.
We'll see who has the last laugh.
That was tough. Cool. Thanks for listening, and we'll check you guys next week.
Nice.
I got you stuck off the realness. Think not, this shit's too hot. Too hot. Too hot. Rock you in your face. Dab your brain with your nose bone. I'm a vampire walking on the surface of the sun.